My name's Gary Lingle, as Bill mentioned, and I am an ornithologist, study birds, and I just have a couple questions for you. What makes a bird unique from other groups of animals? What kind of traits do they have that separates them from, say, the reptiles or mammals? Yes?
It has feathers.
They have feathers, right? Anything else? Go ahead. They can fly. That most species of birds can fly. Yes.
They have beaks.
They have beaks. Well, I suppose that might be considered. The other thing they do is they lay eggs, external eggs, and incubate eggs. And bird banding has been going on in this country for quite a long time now. And there's a lot of information that we can learn about birds through the process of banding. Both of these types of bands, though, are placed along over the legs of birds, like a little bracelet. They're split in the middle there, and so you just crimp them together and they just ride freely up and down the leg of a bird. One thing that is unique to these bands is that each band has an individual number on them, even these little tiny ones. And that way we can identify exactly where birds were banded. All this information that I'll be gathering here, the location and the age and the species of the birds, all that information then is I send to the bird banding lab in Maryland, and they keep all that data on a computer. And so that if in the future, if somebody were to encounter that bird, all they'd have to do, and it had a band on it, they could read this band number and then find out, you know, how long ago the bird was banded and where, and that's again how we get that type of information about migration routes and longevity. I'll show you one other type of band that's used, this color band with a number on it. Some of you who have watched geese up close might have seen some of these types of bands. Now, what would be the reason why you would use a band of this like this? What would be the advantage of having this type of a band? Any ideas? All right, I'll help you out here. Using binoculars, you can look at a bird in the wild, and if you're able to read those letters and the color, that's enough information then so that, again, you can identify that individual bird without having to recapture it again. So that's a big advantage. Brown thrasher, and they're really pretty common. You can find these birds, well, I caught it in this type of habitat, but they're also really common in most country roads where you have little clumps of shrubs or plum thickets along the roadside. That's the kind of areas that this species likes to nest in. Crimp it together. You don't want to overlap it. And then we make sure that it's nice and rounded. And then that band, it's not real tight. It can move up and down so that it doesn't really affect the bird. Okay, let me get a different grip on it here, and there we go. Now I'll walk around and look at that yellow eye on that bird. That's really kind of a neat critter. So we're going to go ahead and let this thing get back. There we go. There. To get a master banding permit, you go through an apprentice type of a program and do some, you have to demonstrate a need to obtain such a permit. And I think there's something like 40 or 50 master banders here in Nebraska. And then we order bands, and then those through the banding lab, and they control, they have the records of what bands are given to each individual, so that that way they, every number, every band is accounted for. But your local conservation officer, actually, if you go on the website, you can there's an automated way now where you can just type in bird banding lab and Google or search that, and then report that number right online. The males are a little bit darker in the head than the females. Otherwise, they're pretty similar in appearance. Birds that nest here have that they have that marking. But many of the birds that migrate through here are from the western race, and they lack that little white mark, that white spot on the tail. So, okay, we'll go ahead and, well, I'm going to let you take a look at it here, a little closer. I think it's pretty traumatized from all this ordeal. It was a window kill, flew into a window, was found dead yesterday, so we have the advantage of a fresh specimen to look at here. It is a type of a woodpecker. It's called a northern flicker, and they have the yellow. In the winter, there's another race of flickers that have red in the wings. So if you have bird feeders in your yard, flickers are one of the species that will come to bird feeders, and you know, you can during migration you'll see a lot more of the red-shafted. But this time of the year, the ones that are most common that nest here are the yellow-shafted. Now the other thing we can tell about this bird is that it is a male, and the males, only the males have what's called that black mallard stripe is what it's called. But that black mustache is a male. The females lack that. Now in the red-shafted flicker, that is a red mustache too. It's kind of a, you know, just a little different color pattern. They have a unique foot pattern, and that 2 toes go forward and 2 toes come backwards. That allows them to grip better. Most birds have the 3 toes going forward and 1 toe coming backwards. But that allows them to grip better on the sides of trees. And the other thing is they got very stiff tail feathers that kind of gives them support. So that when they're up on the side of the tree, that tail feather helps support them. So I can show you that. You don't have to worry about this thing releasing mulberries. The other thing about woodpeckers, what do they feed on? Wood. Bugs, insects. And they get the insects out of the cavities and holes in trees. And so one way they're able to get down deep into the little burrows that the insects are in the trees is they've got extremely long tongue. Very long tongue. In fact, that tongue curls completely back around the skull. It goes like all the way around like this. And it allows them to get down in there and search for food. I'll see if I can extract part of the tongue here. I mean, it was good that you brought this in. Here, I just want to get this out of here. Once you get the legs free, then the rest usually comes out fairly. Try and get a wing. Get the wing out. Yeah. There's 1, 2. Now we get the head.
Does his tongue also curl to the back of his head?
No, just in woodpeckers. Yep, woodpeckers are the only ones that have that adaptation. Maybe 3 weeks old, and you can see it's just starting. It's still molting feathers, getting the blood quills. Those feathers are just coming in. I'm going to go ahead and put it in. This is a gray catbird again. The catbird makes a cat-like call. You'll hear the adults and they go meow,
What about the
meow.
Is that the same one? Is that
There we go.
the other one was a male? That'd be weird if it was the same bug. That'd be weird if it was
All right, steady now. There we get the legs out. Yes, recaptures. That's one of the ways that we are able to find out how old these birds are. And so most of the birds that are recaptured or reported, most of the bands that are reported are from you know, banders that capture them. Okay, here we go. Okay. I'm just going to let this one go. And hopefully it won't get tangled up again. So we'll just go ahead like this and let it go. I'm going to go ahead and let this bird go too. So we got, okay, you got to go. All right, well, farewell.